After a wild couple days in the markets, stocks and crypto are rebounding a bit. We have the SPY setting at 525, the Qs also showing a rebound here at 442, and the Nikkei 225 also rebounding about 10% yesterday. So what does that mean for stocks, commodities, and crypto? Well, Bitcoin is also rebounding here a bit, setting at 56,300 this morning. So, are we going to continue to see selling here, sell pressure, or will we see a rebound after a sea of red across the markets for the past few days? We're going to share what this chaos means in the markets and what is behind this stock market sell down in today's video. So if that sounds good to you, please hit the like button and please be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And let's get into it. So what do we have here? Well, Japan's Nikkei sank by 12%. After questions over the health of the U.S. economy, and basically one of the worst days that we've seen in the stock market in a very long time. This is the VIX, and it shows you here. Last time we've been at these levels was back in 2020 and then in 2009. So some people were calling this the Black Monday, similar to what we saw in 1987 during the flash crash. Um, and so the VIX has spiked, but it is calm back down here, sitting at 2705. So what does this mean for the markets? Are we going to continue to see selling? Well, I will say that normally whenever you see the VIX go this high, typically, um, and then come back down, typically that is the majority of the peak panic in the markets. So it is possible that these markets go lower. However, it will probably be more sustained from here. So if we go back and take a look at the SPY, well, you can see we fell through that 618 here off this most recent move, almost coming back down to this box. And we have gapped down here several times. Of course, there's still a few gaps down here lower, so we could go a little lower on these markets. There is a real risk to the downside. I think what I would wait to see is do we get rejected here on the NASDAQ and the Qs? We have this upwards sloping trend line, and if we just zoom out here on this chart, let me actually take this to the weekly. Just want to show you what I am seeing here, and I am going to have to reload this chart. So give me 1 second. Computer is being just a bit slow this morning. So we will take a look at this chart here on the weekly, and I just wanted to show you this trend line that we have had here throughout this bull run. We broke below that trend line, so is that a concern? Well, if we don't get back above it, it could be, but you can see we broke down here before back in last October, and typically the markets see peak volatility during the presidential elections years in either August or October. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. And if we go back to the daily chart here, well, we can also put on something like the 200-day moving average. And let me just remove that trend line there so you can see that a little better. And you can see that does typically hold. If we do happen to break below that, well, we could see further downside. However, we never did reach our target off this bigger cup and handle pattern. So I still think we do go higher, and I will explain why. One of those reasons is the M2 money supply is continuing to increase. Um, Here is 73 billion, up from the previous 21 trillion in June. So we continue to see the money supply increasing, and today we have U.S. Commerce 50 billion Treasury buyback. Um, Plus, we have the odds of the Fed cutting the rates potentially now by 50 basis points. So that has increased to, I believe, over 70% now on the odds that we may see a 50% rate cut in September. And they also may have a emergency rate cut. If that were to happen, I don't think that would be good for the markets, because that would be unexpected, and the markets like certainty, and so that could freak out the markets a little bit. However, we know that the global liquidity continues to increase, and so what charts will I look at? Well, I'd look at financials as well as the semiconductors to make sure these do hold up here. Um, I think it will be key to see these bigger stocks hold up, although it does appear that money is rotating into some of the other sectors, and we'll get into a few of those here in a moment. But this is the SMH, and it's sitting at 218. So we've seen a lot of these bigger stocks start to rebound, which is good. It is possible that we do go up and test this 382 from the bottom side, possibly get rejected, come down here and find some support before moving higher. I think that's the most likely scenario, as August and September are typically the weakest months uh, cyclically for tech and the stock market. So I do think that is a real possibility. However, I still think that we probably do go higher. Um, right now, it is starting to look more like a risk-off environment. However, there are some other sectors that we can also look at. One of them being healthcare. This is XHL, and this is the weekly chart on the healthcare. And you can see here that healthcare has bottomed out here over the past couple of years, and uh, really started moving higher whenever the stock market did, but it hasn't been nearly as high as we've seen with the rest of the stock market. We never got back to those previous all-time highs. So I think that some of these defensive plays here may start to really do better if we do see more buying in the markets. And one of those stocks may be Pfizer. Of course, there's several out there, but I put Pfizer in here because of the dividend that it offers, plus it's back down to this area right here that is acting as support right around that $30 level. Of course, those nice round numbers always act as psychological support as well, and we still have a price target of about 34.25 here in the short to medium term. Of course, this could go a lot higher. Another place we could look to gain some safety here is gold, sitting at 23.82, and is looks like it's finding a little bit of support here on our box that we had previously. And we have had seen metals come down. Um, so another ETF that I've been looking at is the gold and silver miners. Of course, you can get higher beta off those. And currently, the silver miners sitting at 30.29. You can see it wicking right down into our 618 on this last move. So this could be a very interesting position for the silver miners here. Of course, we're just below this support line that we had previously. However, I do think that if we continue to see the markets go up and some of these more defensive plays begin to turn and build as we go into this late cycle investing, then I think you could see a lot of these perform very well. We've also had copper sold off and coming down to our 618 and into our box here, hitting the target pretty much perfectly. Um, what's really interesting to copper about copper to me is if we zoom out here and look at this weekly chart, we see we have a ton of support in this zone, and this chart goes way back. This here to me is what's really interesting about copper. We have all this previous support from over almost 20 years now, and so this could be a very good uh, place where we could see a bounce for copper. And if we just zoom back here in on the daily, you'll see that trend line that we have right there. So if we do come down a bit further, well, that may act as support as well. So I'd be looking at this on the daily time frame to see if we have a turn. We know Dr. Copper is a good indicator of the health of the economy, and that is the biggest concern right now. Everyone's worried about what's going to happen in this economy. Are we going to see a recession? And I'm divided on this. I don't. No one really knows for sure, but yeah, I just see that we are starting to see some of these prices come in on these raw materials, as well as things like used cars. And if we start to see those interest rates come down, well, maybe people will be able to spend a little more again, borrow a little more again, and kind of keep everything floating here. We haven't really seen the Dow move down that much. We've seen a lot of these other sectors hold up very well. So overall, I think that uh, we are still in a bull run and that things can go much higher. However, we'll just really need to keep an eye and see what happens over here over the next several weeks and months going into this election. If you're interested in buying commodities such as gold, silver, copper, or aluminum, you can do so over here on Prime XPT. And this is a prime little chart here of aluminum. You can see here we have the MACD coming down here on aluminum, hitting 22.80 currently. So that's interesting. And we're getting this golden little cross here, and we see this liquidity starting to sweep back to the upside. So you can see a nice little bounce here for aluminum over the next several months potentially. What I like about Prime XBT is they allow you to trade Forex pairs as well as any of the major markets, including HSI, as well as Brent and crude oil and crypto. If you're interested, there is a link down below. Right now, they are offering up to a 20% bonus when you sign up, or 25% off your commissions while trading. Let's get into crypto and what is going on for Bitcoin. First thing I wanted to point out here is really Bitcoin is just kind of ranging in this sideways to downward pattern here, and this is the daily, but this is the peak back here in 2021, and you can see that we were holding this at support On the monthly, of course, we've come down, and this is the box that I drew out here several weeks ago, showing that we're potentially putting in an inverse head and shoulders pattern for Bitcoin. And we've got this massive flag pattern playing out here. So if we can continue to hold this area, I think this is very bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. It does seem like uh, Bitcoin is kind of leading the way whenever we do have weakness here. Of course, you see that weakness come through for Bitcoin before, generally speaking, the markets. And whenever we do start to move up, well, that of course is also bullish for the markets. And if we just go back to the normal Bitcoin chart that we have here, you can see that this mid range here that we've had on this chart for a long time now, right around that $55,000, $56,000 level is where we are setting. Of course, we wick down to that other area that we thought we may go and touch. And one thing I did want to point out is the RSIs are at the bottom side on all the shorter time frames, from the daily to the 12-hour, 4-hour. So that at least indicates that we probably will see some bounces here, at least in the short term. We really need to see how this shapes up. But if we zoom out on this chart, we have this uh, parallel channel that we are really in most of the time. We fell below it briefly, and we've been above it for quite a while. And we have seen one of the biggest corrections of this crypto cycle of about, I believe, almost 30%. If we just take a measurement on this, right at 30% on that sell-off. So that's the biggest sell-off we've seen this cycle, but people that's been in crypto a long time know that that is fairly normal. And really, even if we go back to the SPY and we take a look at this sell-off, well, how much was that? It was just about 10%. So that is pretty normal size correction. You do see those every couple years, generally in a bull cycle. So I don't see anything to be extremely worried about yet. But I do think it is critical that we do hold this next zone here, because if we do lose that, well, we could be going a good bit lower. However, some of these cryptos came down to key areas, including Ethereum setting at 2,517 this morning, and it wicked down into our box and our support here almost perfectly. It's amazing how these levels hold up given these different horizontals and levels of support whenever we do see this pressure. So I do think that this is potentially a very good and last chance to get in on crypto. If you are have missed out or want to do so during this cycle, I do think this stuff is going to go higher here as long as the stock market continues to hold up. And another one of the top altcoins is Solana. Right now, I would stay away from most of the other altcoins just because they aren't showing as much strength, and Solana is one of those that's really held up well here. I mean, we haven't lost this line right around 120, currently sitting at 144. If you're interested in buying Bitcoin, well, you can do so. But first, I wanted to show you this. Elon Musk just posted this over on X. And of course, you've probably seen this guy here, the shooter in the Olympics. And he said this is from the Doge designer. So whenever we know that people like Musk start tweeting stuff like this, well, typically those crypto markets do well. So again, if you're interested in buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or many more, you can do so with iTrust Capital. iTrust Capital allows you to buy, sell, and trade crypto, gold, and silver 24/7 in a tax advantage IRA. They also have low cost and no monthly fee, and they have over 5,000 plus 5-star reviews on Google. I use iTrust Capital. If you're interested, there is a link down in the description. All right, guys, happy Tuesday to you all. Yeah, it's been a wild couple weeks here in the markets. We're starting to see a lot of volatility, which is good for traders. Of course, this does have some investors worried. And so anyway, be sure to go follow me over here on X at Mind of Financier. I am Mind of the Financier on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. But I post over here on Twitter anything I see that has to do with stocks, commodities, and crypto in the markets. All right, guys, until next time, take care, have a great day, be legendary, and peace out.